Hello, crafty friends. This is Jessica Lewis with Scrap Sprinkle Crop. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today I'm coming to you to present something different this time. I'm going to make a frame. I'm going to show you how to make a frame. This was inspired by a challenge provided to demonstrators on behalf of Stampin' Up! And it includes a variety of colors. And this was definitely a challenge to figure out how to include all of the colors in this project, but I believe I've been able to incorporate all of them. So let me switch my camera over and show you what I got. Pins off. Okay, so first off, let me tell you that all of um, my products that I used for this project come from the 2021-2022 annual catalog by Stampin' Up! And I'm using the paper located here on page 132 of the annual catalog, and this is the In Good Taste Designer Series paper. Now, this paper has so many beautiful layouts and designs, and I used quite a few of them for this project. Very neutral colors. I love every single design that is in there. So let me show you the frame. And here is the frame. It says, "Every bunny welcome." And if you can tell, I used a little bit of punch art, and I'll show you how to do that. But this was my final piece, and I really hope you enjoy making this. I think it's so cute and very fun to make. It's a little, has some dimension to it, so I'll put it in an angle and you can see what the little dimension it has to it. So I'll show you how to do that, and I hope you enjoy this little frame that you can hang anywhere that you'd like. And I'll tell you more about this wood plank and where I found it. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to start off with a piece of your designer series paper, and this measures 5 inches by 11.5 inches. And I have a little layout here. I used my pencil to lightly mark a few things, my pencil and my ruler. And you're not going to see it directly on camera. You might be able to see a little bit, but the purpose is to mark it so lightly that you won't be able to tell after you're done with your project. So what I did is I marked a 1/4 inch from the top. I marked a 1/4 inch from the bottom. I marked the halfway point all the way across. So if this measures 5 inches, this is 2 3/4 inches, that mark right there. And I went all the way across. So I have 3 horizontal lines, 1/4 inch, 2 3/4, and then a 1/4 inch from the bottom here. Okay, now I'm going to have a 1.5 inch mark from the right side over and the left side over. That's 1.5 inches. And then I mark the center. So you will be able to see this on the tutorial that I have. I have a list of supplies and there's not directions, just a list of supplies and some dimensions. And those are located on my blog in the free tutorials tab at scrapsprinklecrop.blogspot.com. Okay, so now that we have this, I'm going to begin with let's start with the stamping. Okay, I'm going to set this aside for a moment. We already have that ready. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my Memento black ink, my stamp, and this is from the Simply Succulents stamp set. It does have coordinating dies, and that would be called the Potted Succulents, okay? And the only die we're going to be using is this one right here for the pot, okay? So we're going to be using this image. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Memento black ink it up, and stamp onto the basic white cardstock. And we'll go ahead and do some coloring. I have some Stampin' Blends here, and this one is polished pink. We have a light and a dark version. I'm going to start with the light version, and I'm going to use the brush tip. And to color this, we're going to have some shading such that the middle of the pot is the lightest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start coloring gently with my light polished pink. And I'm going to do that on both sides, and then I'm going to leave the white in the middle. If you get out of the lines, don't worry too much about that. But now I'm coming to my dark Stampin' Blend, and I'm just going to color about half of the area that I colored in light, like this. Okay, coming back to my light Stampin' Blend, now I'm going to color all the way to the middle on both sides. Okay, now I'm going to go over the whole thing and cover it in light. Okay, so what that does, it gives a shade in the lightest shade is in the middle. I'm going to use my other tip, and I'm going to just go over the top, the bottom, and a little bit more here on the sides, just to get a little bit more shading. Okay, and you can leave it like that. So what you do is you take your coordinating die and you cut this out. And I've already done that ahead of time. I've cut out 3 of them. So I colored all 3 of these. I did this one in polished pink, this one in Pool Party, and this one in Daffodil Delight with your Stampin' Blends. Okay. So now that we have these, those are ready. And we're going to take our bone folder and curve the edges, the sides. We're going to curve them towards the back of the pot. And you're going to do that for all 3 pots. This paper is pretty thick, so hopefully it doesn't easily tear on you as you're curling these pots. But you see how you can see how they're curved now that you set them down. It's hard to see on the camera, but trust me, they're curved. Okay, now we're going to set this aside for a moment, and we're going to create our little bunnies. Okay, I'm going to bring in my mini Stampin' Cut, and I'm going to use my circle dies, and these are the layering circles dies right here. And I'm going to use this one right here. This is it measures about 1.5, and I'm gonna take 3 pieces of my designer series paper. So I just have some scraps here. This is the In Good Taste DSP. And I'm going to take just 3 scraps. These are the 3 different designs that I have on here. And I'm going to lay them on top of each other. And we're going to cut them with our die. This is so fast and so easy. The paper is thin enough to where you can run it through all 3 of them at one time, and you'll be able to cut it. I just ran over it twice, just to make sure that my cutting machine cuts through all 3 of them. And so now you just run it one time and you have 3 cuts. I love that. Okay, let me set my little mini aside. Okay, so now we have 3 different circles, and they're 1.5 inches. And we're going to do a little bit of little punch art. And this is the Flowers and Leaves punch. And we're going to use this image right here. This is going to act as the little bunny's feet, okay? And I'm going to punch the regular side like that, and then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to punch the other foot. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to have these little feet. You can see where this looks like kind of like a little notch sticking out here. You want those little notches to face towards the inside of the bunny. So you want one towards the inside and the other one towards the inside, okay? And the way we're going to do this, let me move a few things out of the way so you can see how I assemble my little bunnies. Oh, I gotta keep that, don't I? So this is the only bunny, since it's a dark paper, I used a white gel pen. Unfortunately, Stampin' Up! Does not sell a white gel pen, but I'm sure you can find one online. This one is a Uniball Signo brand, and it works really well. I'll probably put a link in my list of materials for you. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to draw an oval shape on his feet and two little dots, one on the bottom, one on the right. Okay, and then for his left foot, I'm going to do the same thing, an oval shape here, circle here, and circle here. Okay, so now you have his little feet. For the other two bunnies that have a lighter design, you want to use, what I did is I used my dark polished pink to make the little circles like you see here for the feet. So once you have that, we're going to assemble this little guy, and you need some mini dimensionals, and I have some here. And this mini dimensional is going to go on the back of his little foot, and I'm going to place it towards the top. Okay. So this little foot is going to go inside the circle towards the left, and I'm going to angle it a little bit like this. Okay. And then same thing on this other little bunny, this bunny foot. Excuse me. And then place it at an angle and set it like that. Okay. So that's what we have so far. Let me bring it up to the camera and you can see what that looks like. Okay. Now you're going to take, I hope you have some cotton balls. I have a bag of cotton balls that I just bought from my local store. Walmart, Target, any place will do, even Walgreens or CVS, whatever store is local to you. And I cut it into small pieces. So I have I cut it into very small pieces. So you can see here that I've cut it down quite a bit. And I'm going to use some hot glue and put some here in the center so I can glue the little cotton ball here on the bunny, and that really completes your bunny. So let me show you the finished product for all three of these little guys. Okay, so here we have all three bunny butts. I guess that's what you can call them. And here's all three of them close up. Okay, so we're going to place these onto our, okay, we can, well, let's do one more thing before we start assembling. So I have a piece of vellum, and you can tell I've already done some here, but this vellum, you're going to take that and you're going to use your Stampin' Blend markers, and you're going to use the dark shaded spruce and the dark granny apple green. And I'm going to use the brush tip. Excuse me. If you haven't done this technique before, it is very simple and I really enjoy it. It's fun to watch as it comes together. But what I'm doing, and I'm just randomly coloring in different places. You can see here, like that. I'm glad that you don't have to color like a pro on this kind of technique. Okay, so that's what I have, okay? Now you're gonna take one of your brushes, and this is a brush painter, I guess, a water painter, I think that's what I'd call it. And I filled it with alcohol. This is 91% alcohol, okay? Anything less than that concentration of alcohol may not work as effectively. You can certainly go ahead and try it. But I'm using 91% alcohol and I'm going to use plenty of it. So I'm going to make sure I squeeze plenty of it onto my brush tip, and you're just going to dab all the way over. And you can even do a little mix it, dab it, and do a little here and there and get some more out. And just keep dabbing like that. See how that starts to disperse? It looks really cool to watch. You can certainly come back and add more, take some away. Well, no, you can't take some away, but you can certainly add more as it dries, okay? So once it dries, it's going to have a really cool effect. You're going to have some dark areas, some light areas. You're going to let that dry. And then you're going to cut out some of these. You're going to use your, which dies? Okay. You're going to use your Dandy Wishes dies. And I'm using the I'm using two of these. I'm using the two grass pieces to cut out. And you're going to cut out 4 of each from that vellum that we just colored, okay? And for the sake of time, I already have all these cut out, okay? So these are already assembled. And what I did with my 2 pieces is all I did was take a dimensional, and I placed it on the back of the small piece of grass and layered this on the top like this. And that's all it is, okay? So now you have 4 of these, okay? Okay, now we have one more thing that we need to cut out. Is I used the Playful Alphabet dies. And what we're going to create is we're going to create the phrase, every bunny welcome. I love that. It's so cute. Okay, so what I did is I took my DSP and I cut, what is this, 1 inch? I have the wrong side of my grid paper. Yeah, it's 1 inch. So I cut a 1 inch strip, 1 by 12. So the DSP is 12 inches wide, and you can cut a 1 inch by 12 inch piece. And I adhered some foam. I used my foam adhesive sheets, and I cut these down to slightly smaller than an inch. I would say 7/8 of an inch. And you can cut it down. Actually, it's smaller than that, maybe 15th, 16th of an inch. And cut little strips and place them along the back side of your strip. Run it through your machine and you'll have all the letters come out, okay? I'm not going to show you how to do that. It's going to take some time. So I went ahead and did that ahead of time. And this is going to give dimension to your frame. Okay, so I have all those cut out. And let's come back to our piece and let's start assembling this little thing. It's so adorable. Okay, so what we're going to start with is take the little grass piece, and I'm going to use a couple of glue dots on the back side of this grass piece, okay? And like I told you earlier, I made a mark here at 1.5 inches from the left in the middle of the paper. And I'm going to set this part of my grass right at that line, that middle line, and I'm going to match it to this mark here and the center line. So those are my 2 marks. Okay, so that's one side. Now I'm going to go over to the other side and I'm going to do the same thing. It's going to be 1.5 inches from this edge over here. And I'm going to go as high as that middle grass will go. Try to line that up and press it down. Okay, hope I'm making sense so far. So now that these two are aligned, I'm going to take my polished pink. Actually, no, I'm going to do the Daffodil Delight bucket, and I'm going to place the regular dimensionals, and it's going to be here in the center of the back side of the bucket. Now we're going to double it up, place 2 dimensionals on top of one another. Okay, what this is going to do is this is going to stick to the frame piece, and it's also going to keep that dimension, that curved dimension that we're giving it. I'm also going to take my Tombow glue and I'm going to place a little bit of small thin line along the edge of the left and the right side of the bucket. Okay, and this is just going to help me stick it down. Okay, and what you're going to do is you're going to take the top line along the bucket, you're going to center it with the middle line that you marked with your, so there's 2 marks here that I have. There's a center down the length and there's a center down the width. Okay, so I have it here marked and I can see it, and I'm just making sure I'm lining this up and placing it in the center. You're going to press it down in the middle and then here on the sides. Okay, make sure you have that dimension, that curved bucket. Okay, like so. Okay, let's go ahead and stick our bunny. We're going to use the dark bunny. I feel like the darker bunny is going to have more dimension. I'm just putting a dimensional right behind his little fluffy tail, and I'm going to stick it so that the feet are on top of the pot and his body is partly into the bucket like that. Okay, now we're going to do the other 2 buckets. I'm going to do the pool party bucket. We're going to do double dimensionals again, like this. Oh, and I forgot my Tombow glue. Tombow got to go on there. Very thin line. That way it'll stick real good. And I'm putting this between the grass and the bucket. Okay, press it down. And again, that top line on the bucket is gonna match up with the middle line, that pencil line that I marked. And then just let that dry. Okay, and I'm gonna put this little bunny under this pool party bucket with a dimensional. Let his feet stick over there and then place him right there. Push it down. Okay. Oop, his little tail is falling apart. Okay, it's coming together. That's looking cute. Now, last but not least, I'm putting the little bucket here as well. This one's the polished pink one. And I'm going to put some Tombow glue. This is definitely a labor of love. So you can't make a ton of these real fast, but you can certainly give these away to that special someone, you know, that somebody that you know that maybe loves bunnies or loves the springtime. You can definitely give this frame to to somebody that would love to have one. And there's plenty of DSP to make it with. So, okay, what am I doing? Put a dimensional behind my little bunny, and I'm going to stick him partly in, and he'll match with the rest of the bunnies. Oh, see, look, some of that came off. Keep him fluffy. Okay, so that's what we have so far. Now we have some room in the middle here to place our grass pieces. And I'm just going to take a few more glue dots. Uh-oh, almost stuck down. I used 2 glue dots. You certainly don't have to do that. But this is going to be a frame that you're going to be using for some time. So a couple more. One more glue dot doesn't hurt. All right. Here is the next part. A little bit lower. Like I said, you're not going to be able to see these pencil marks, and I can tell. Yeah, I'm a little too low. I'm a little too low on this one. I'll have to fix that later, okay? I'll fix it later. Okay, so now what's next? Okay, so we got that part. So all we're going to do is we're going to put the letters down. Remember, I told you to cut these from your, let's see, your foam adhesive sheets and your, I'm trying to think, your DSP. Okay, so I got all my letters here. Okay, it's hard to grab them all at one time. Okay, I think I got them all. Every bunny welcome. Okay, let me set the welcome aside. I'm going to bring this a little bit closer to me, and you should be able to see it fine. Okay, so I'm going to start with the every bunny part. So the way I did this was I used the edges of the buckets on the left and the right side to be my guide. So I'm going to start with the E, and I'm going to place the E directly above, and then I have them also have a pencil mark 1/4 inch from the top. So the top of my letter is going to be along the line that I marked with my pencil. Okay, like that. Okay, and then I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to use my Y, and I'm going to place it at the edge. The top goes on the line, and the edge of this. Oh, I don't want it to stick down yet. Let's see. Okay, I think that's where I want it. Okay, so now that you have that, so all you have to do is just keep placing them down. Make sure you have the spelling correct. And I don't space them too far apart. They're going to be spaced, I don't know, maybe 1/8 of an inch apart. And you just place them along that top line. That's going to be your guide. And just keep placing those carefully. Don't press down until you're sure that that's the placement that you want. Once you have all these letters cut out, it's so much easier to place them. Oh, see, this one's a little bit crooked. Let's see here. Right there. Nope. Right there. Yep. Okay. And then I'm going to go with on this side, and I'm going to be spacing it closely to the Y, like this. There's the N, another N. We got the U. And the B. I feel like they're really close together. You might wanna fix it. You might wanna move it apart a little bit more. I mean, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. I would have liked the center between the Y and the B to be my spacing. So it's not perfect, but we will move forward with it. Okay, now we got to do welcome. So the welcome part, what I did is I started on the outside edge. I wanted to spread this out a little bit more. In order to do that, I'm going to do a similar thing where I would space out the outsides first and then kind of work my way in the middle. This one's a little bit different though, because I want to make sure I have evenly spacing. And so the W is going to start this 1/4 inch mark that I have. This is my line, and then I have the edge of the W lined up with the outside of the little piece of grass. Then I'm going to take my E on the other side, and I'm going to place it along the bottom line and then the side matching evenly with the grass. And this is going to be my middle letter. So we're going to have E and L here, O and M on this side, and so the C is my middle letter, and I'm going to place it directly underneath the daffodil bucket. Okay, so there's my C, and then now I can see how to space out my other 2 letters. So I can scooch them in, I can move them around until I know where that placement should be. So I think the O and the M are in a good spot. So I'm going to take my M and place it right here. Press it down. And then my O directly above this pencil mark between making sure you have an even spacing between the C and the M, and then press that down. Okay. We have the E and the L. I'm going to take a look at them to see how they're spaced. And this one might need to go over here a little bit, like that. Okay, so I'll take my E, place him here, like that, and then the L. Like so. Okay, so that is the finished product. Well, not completely. We still have to place it on our palette plank. So this is a wood plank that I got from my local Walmart. It's really cheap. It was less than $3. I'll give you a link to my supply list on there. But it measures 12 by 5.5. So that's why our piece is going to measure 5 by 11.5. And before I stick it down, I'm going to take an eraser and I'm going to erase my pencil marks. That way, you know, if you look up close, you won't see all these pencil marks that you made. And like I said, when you mark these down, make sure that you do it very lightly. That way it's easy to erase, but enough to see what you are marking. Okay, so I'm just going to erase those pencil marks all the way, and in areas that I can reach there's some areas that I can't reach with my what is this called, an eraser? And that's okay. I mean, you really honestly cannot tell much, but I can see the areas that I mark up close. Okay, it really looks good. There's nothing else. That paper is really pretty. Okay, so let's remove this tag from the frame, and we're going to center it here on our frame. So it's going to be placed like that. You can use your grid paper to help you line things up if you'd like. So all I did was take some Tombow glue. You're welcome to also use, what is that? What is that stuff called? Why can't I think of it? I'm just doing squiggly lines of my Tombow glue across very lightly. You do not have to put a big glob of Tombow glue. This stuff is plenty strong, and I just thought about it. Decoupage glue. You can use that as well. And I'm centering it. This glue gives me enough time to move things around before I stick it down. So I think that's where I want it, and I'm just going to press it down in the different areas here. And this is your finished product. What do you think? I hope you love it. I hope, you know, the minor details here, just make sure you line up. This one is a little too low, so I'll fix that. But overall, I think it looks really cute, and you get to use all the colors that were that I incorporated for the challenge. And the colors were Polished Pink, Daffodil Delight, Pool Party, not soft suede, Shaded Spruce, and Granny Apple Green. So those are the colors that I used for this challenge, and I think this frame came out really cute. So again, the supply list and dimensions are on my blog. Just go to scrapsprinklecrop.blogspot.com, and you can find the free tutorial in my free tutorials tab of the blog. So thank you so much for joining me. Hope you enjoy this, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.